Did you know that 85% of founders, they attributed their greatest business breakthroughs to mistakes they originally thought were going to sink them? For instance, Post-it notes were a failed adhesive, penicillin was discovered by accident. What if the mistakes that you are trying to avoid is actually the doorway to your next opportunity? I get it, nobody wants to make mistakes. You and I get that sick feeling in our stomachs when we realize that we've messed up. There can be panic, embarrassment. We all want to succeed, and making mistakes feels like the opposite of that. But what if our perspective on mistakes is actually backwards? In this video, I'm going to show you how to consistently turn mistakes into golden opportunities. I've included 3 personal stories of my own. I suppose that's the definition of personal, about how mistakes transform my business. Lesson 1, the email that changed everything. So I was working in an internet marketing company with a client who was consistently challenging. Every interaction felt tense. Projects were always stressful. One day we were running behind on a deadline and I needed to send an apologetic email. There was a portion of the email where I meant to say, "I'm sorry for any inconvenience this may have caused you." What I actually typed? "I'm sorry for any inconvenience this may have caused you." It was too late. I'd already sent it. I did quickly send a follow-up clarification email, but of course it felt really odd to send that specific email or blunder to that particular client. But to my surprise, they were actually cracking up about the email. Our relationship surprisingly actually shifted from more tense and formal to a more friendly and collaborative relationship. The projects actually started to flow better working with them from that point on. The key lesson here, sometimes our mistakes humanize us. Our mistakes remind others that we're not perfect, and that often creates connection instead of distance. Lesson 2, the vanishing website. So years ago, before sophisticated backup systems were common or version control, I spent a month building a client's website. I was nearly ready to launch the site when I accidentally deleted the entire site from the server. There were no backups, there was nothing. After the initial panic, desperate searching, I had to just accept that the reality that it was gone. I had to rebuild everything from scratch. It was painful. Yes, it cost me time and quite a bit of money, but that mistake led me to implement robust backup systems across my business. In the 15 years since, I've never lost another client's work like that. The key lesson? Mistakes can lead to better systems that save us time and money. But again, we have to take the time to recognize what caused the mistake. We have to learn from it and improve upon it. Lesson 3. The failed launch that led to everything. This was one of my biggest mistakes in business. I spent 4 really solid months creating this maintenance package for my clients. I built an actual entire e-commerce system around selling these packages, planning the marketing, drafting the emails to clients and to potential future clients. I was personally convinced that this would become my new primary source of income for my business. I was super excited about it, and I was spending evenings, early mornings working on this. So I worked on this for months, and I was ready to launch it. I was all prepared, had the marketing plan ready, and I launched it, and I got complete silence. Not a single person signed up for it. At most, I think one person asked a follow-up question. And then I kept trying to push it, talk to my clients, and market it to other people, and nothing happened with it. I felt like I'd wasted months of work, and I just felt disillusioned, like I totally screwed up and spent all this time for nothing. But here's the interesting part. This is where it all turned around. About a month later, a long-term client asked if I'd be interested in essentially being sort of their part-time web designer, content marketer, search engine optimist on a retainer basis. So ongoing monthly support instead of just project-based work. I thought, well, of course, yeah, I'd love to do that. So this became my first big recurring income client. And then I thought, well, why don't I ask some other people I've been working with for years on project by project basis if they'd be interested in something similar. So I asked other clients the same question, and several of them signed up within the course of a few months. And then soon enough, these retainers or this retainer work on a monthly basis, it was covering all of our family's monthly bills. And then any additional work I was doing on top of that was just for savings and for emergency situations. This mistake taught me I wasn't thinking big enough. Instead of many small transactions, A few of these ongoing retainer-based relationships would provide better results for the clients, more enjoyable work for me, less stress with the financial roller coaster of income going up and down. So sometimes we don't immediately realize how a mistake becomes a stepping stone to something better. But if we choose to learn from it, I guarantee it always leads to stacking knowledge on knowledge, which is wisdom. And speaking of wisdom, I always look to the Bible, which I believe is the true source of wisdom, for what it says on these particular topics. So what does God say about mistakes? In particular, I thought of Proverbs 26:11, which says, "As a dog returns to its vomit, so fools repeat their folly." The difference between wisdom and foolishness isn't about making mistakes, it's about our response to them. Do we continue to repeat them and not learn from them? For instance, Proverbs 9:9 says, "Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will add to their learning." So the wise person learns, they adapt, they grow stronger and more knowledgeable, while the fool, which we can all be at times, repeats the same patterns expecting different results. We've heard that before. I believe God allows us to feel the pain of our mistakes precisely so that we learn from them. The pain serves a purpose if we're willing to listen and to learn from it. So to follow through on the goal of this video, which is how do we transform our mistakes? Here's a simple framework I came up with to turn mistakes into beneficial opportunities. It's pretty simple. Here it is. So 1, acknowledge. You have to just fully acknowledge the mistake without self-judgment. Just, it is what it is. Take responsibility for it. 2, extract the lesson. There's always at least one crucial lesson, if not multiple lessons to be learned. But take a little bit of time to think about it. 3, implement something, a new system, a new boundary based on what you've learned. What good is knowledge if we don't act on it? And at first I didn't actually have this last one in there. But then I realized, well, what's the purpose of going through all of this pain if we don't implement something new? But then we have to share that. Why not share it so others can benefit from that? So absolutely, as a part of that, turning mistakes into golden opportunities, you can use that in your business, in your marriage, with your children, with your friends, to teach people so they don't have to learn the hard lessons that you had to learn. So when you follow these steps, mistakes become investments in your future success rather than just painful memories. Every mistake carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, if you have the wisdom to find it. I've learned that the moments I thought were destroying my business, for instance, were actually redirecting me towards something better. So what if your next mistake isn't a failure, but just a redirect? What if your embarrassing moment becomes the foundation of your next breakthrough? I'd love to hear about a mistake that unexpectedly opened doors for you. Please put it in the comments below so others can benefit from that wisdom and knowledge as well. If you found this video helpful, I'd encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe for more practical business and life wisdom. Again, the goal is to help you build a life with more time for what truly matters. And with that, I ask you, what will you do with these 24 hours that you've been given?